every time we posted that on Hacker News or Reddit, which is bang, top spot, because it was just relevant news. So
Yeah.
it's like consistently hitting like the front page. And I actually wrote a blog about this, how we exactly did it. I posted on Indie Hackers.
We're
I'm
gonna
not
put
gonna
in the link in
refresh
the
it.
description.
And once I put it on Indie Hackers, someone took it from Indie Hackers. The post was called "How to Hack Hacker News." That's kind of clickbaity, but someone took the post from Indie Hacker and put that one on Hacker News. It went top spot, and then we got banned. But
Oops.
at least 100% worth it.
Yeah. That's funny. I didn't knew this story, Dank. That's super cool. Like, when I start like doing startups, I start learning about grow hacking, like how you can grow faster than the normal pace by doing this tiny kind of hacks. Where, like, as you've done, like, it was making you valuable for people, because if you got like first page, that means people read it and enjoy your article. So it was not like a scam or like a.
No.
Today I welcome Iron Brands on the show, so thanks for accepting my invitation.
Yeah, mate. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm very happy you're here. If you should resume your path in 2-3 minutes, how you will do that?
Whew. Yeah. So where do you want me to start? Like,
As
being
early as you believe this is your
relevant.
startup. This.
Okay. I think so. The first thing, like, I studied in. So I am from Maastricht in the Netherlands. Currently based in Amsterdam. I studied in Maastricht, which is a little city in the southern part of the Netherlands. Uh, Back then, I was studying finance and economics, and I was bound to be like going to consultancy, and I did an internship with a financial consultant, and I was like, man, this is so boring. I need to like wear a suit, go into work. And then we were doing some financial planning for like municipalities and that kind of stuff, and pension funds. And I was like, at that moment during the internship, I was already like, okay, this can't be it, right? This can't be like the next whatever 40 years of me doing like spreadsheets for pension funds. So that was actually when I started thinking about other things, and mainly like kind of startups, and that seemed interesting. And I was fully into reading TechCrunch on startups that raised like 10 millions of VC funding. And I was like, man, that sounds like a very like fast-paced like
Yeah.
environment. Yeah, I want to be in, but I didn't know anything about startups. So after that internship with a financial consultant, did an internship with a startup. That went south. The startup like imploded, but it was kind of a fun experience. And I was like, oh, okay, I can see how people just can start something out of nothing and start a business. And this one like imploded, but like I thought I could do it like properly. So with one of my mates from university, we thought, okay, let's start a business. What can we do? And we were like still students at the time. So we're like, okay, maybe we can like build a platform, marketplace, shit idea. But yeah, you got to start somewhere and then connect students with internships at companies. So we started that out of nowhere. And it actually went quite all right. We did like a lot of sales and a lot of like, and we kind of knew a lot of students because we were
Yeah.
students at the time. So I think we grew the business to like 100K ARR, like in maybe like 2-3 years. But
Yeah.
still, it was like we were working in there with two people, with some costs as well. So it's not really like hitting the spot. And we also had quite some issues. And then COVID hit, and everyone was actually saying, "Okay, no more interns." So at one point, I was like, "Okay, maybe this is not it for me anymore." So after like 3 years after university, and I told my co-founder, company still exists. My co-founder runs it, but at the time I was constantly doing sales, and the business was not growing super hard. So I was like, okay, maybe
Yeah.
it's time to switch it up for me. I moved to Amsterdam because my girlfriend, she found a job here. She's also from Maastricht. We moved to Amsterdam, and then at that point in my previous business, we none of us were coders, so we're like two guys, business guys doing internship. We was like running into so much shit all the time. So at that point, I knew like, okay, if I start something else, like I need to work with an engineer. I want to work with an engineer because then I can focus on the business side of things and the marketing, which I really like, and then the engineer can focus on the engineering
Yeah.
stuff. So, and I was like, okay, how do I need to to do this. So I put basically myself out there. I created Twitter, which like I knew people were on there. I went to meetups in Amsterdam. I organized our own meetup to actually get in touch with engineers. I was active on Indie Hackers, and at some point at one of these meetups, I met Adrian, which is now my
Yeah.
like co-founder at Simple Analytics. He was already working on Simple Analytics at the time, and he was so I asked him like, hey, what do you do for a living? He's like, yeah, I create building a Google Analytics alternatives. Like, okay, yeah, fine, cool. And are you already making some money, or how is the project
Yeah.
going? I was like, yeah, I'm doing 10K MRR and just by myself, and yeah, everything's going well. I was like, holy shit, that's pretty epic. And I asked him like, how do clients find you? And he was like, yeah, no idea. Should work on marketing. And I was like, man, this is so good. This is so good. I need to be like, I need to work with this guy. But
Yeah.
like at that point, I was still at my like other company, like the previous one. So, but I was getting out of there like kind of like slowly. And like a couple of months later, I remember the conversation I had with Adrian. I called him. I said, okay, hey man, we should partner up. Don't you think? Are you open for it? And then he said, yeah, I'm open for it. That got the ball rolling. Yeah, and that's how I became a co-founder in at Simple Analytics. And also have another business next to it. I launched last year together with Dries. Kind of same story. Just met up like this really insanely big brain engineer. He started working from our little office. I'll talk a bit about that as
Yeah.
well later. And he was working like hosting unified controllers, whatever. Like it was such a niche business, but I like he convinced me like there's a business here, and he really wanted to launch it, but he didn't know how. So I was like, okay, I can help you out with the marketing stuff on that side. So I'm doing that like kind of on the part time, but that's actually going pretty well as well as doing like 4K MRR, and Dries is actually like focused on it.
Yeah.
And it's simple. We are now at 33, yeah, 33K, and still with the two of us, so me and Adrian, and the other business, me and Dries.
Okay.
So that's a
That's
brief
yeah,
description of
that,
what.
that's pretty epic. Thanks for this quick resume. There are many things I want to talk about. I'm not sure about what I should start with. Yeah, I think I like to do it by order often. And you said something what I find interesting is like you went to consultancy and you say like you find it like kind of boring or you're like not really liking it. What made you think that way? Because some people like this shit, you know?
Yeah, but I know just not me. I think like I did like when I was like my expectations were actually that I was going to be in that field because you go to primary school, you go to high
Yeah,
school, you do high school, you go, and then you're expected. No, maybe not expected, but for me, like I always thought I was going to university, and then at university, maybe if you want to do a master's degree or not, and then like everyone who's in that same like bandwagon
yeah,
basically goes into work for bigger companies because those are also the companies that actually visit your university, basically tell everyone how cool they are, like
yeah,
KPMG and banks and whatever. So it felt like a very logical step to actually go into that direction without actually knowing what the direction actually meant. And then I started working there, and for me it was the best internship I ever did because it learned me that I didn't want to do it.
yes,
So, so it actually was super valuable that I did the internship. But like I was before that, I was really convinced. Okay, this is the direction I'm going into. And then when I got into it, like it was alright. Like we had nice colleagues, people were nice, like young people. But the work was just like, nah, mate, just no, it was not, no, yeah, for me, not exciting,
yeah, yeah.
to say the least. And for a lot of people, it was. And then, yeah, like they continued still working there, and I decided to do something different.
Yeah, yeah, I totally resonate with you. Like, I couldn't work for big company. Each time I saw just from the external or doing the process, I saw I will be just one tiny piece in a big machine and I have no impact on the big machine. And I was like, no, that's not what I want. I want something that I impact. So I went to startups for that. And in startups, I found more impact, but still that wasn't mine, you know? So I was like, I iterate to the things, but
Yeah.
I totally resonate with you. That's lead me to another question. Because you say you study like kind of economy and finance, but do you do anything related to that in your current like job as a
No.
co-founder? Yeah.
No, like nothing. Like yeah, I take care of the invoicing stuff. I send it to the accountant, but that's how far
Okay.
as it
Yes,
goes.
that's
Yeah.
the closest you
Uh,
can. Okay.
yeah, I mean, no, like if you ask me, like I'm all right. Like I'm glad I did university, to be honest. Like you see, posts on. I think Louvier posted it on
Yeah.
Twitter, like that he regretted doing university. I was like, yeah, maybe. I know, like I didn't get any like super valuable skills from that, but it was also because I decided to go into a different direction. So people who actually went
Mm.
into finance might actually have like some skills learned from university. But I still feel like the time I spent on university was like one of the best times of my life, and that was basically of this shit you did outside of
Yes.
the classes. But it was just like a super fun time of my life. And yeah, okay, if I wanted to go into the direction which I chose, probably it was worth it. But I decided to do something else. It doesn't mean that university like kind of is bullshit. No, it just means like I went into a different direction. Still like enjoyed being in that kind of like that life. I didn't mind it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I partially agree with you. Like for me, I do believe this is bullshit, but this is useful bullshit, you know? This is something you do, then you realize that's not the life you want. And
Yeah,
that's very important. You know, like the same as Mark is saying, like, oh, do 12 projects in a year, then you will find the right one. And it's not about only finding a market fit, it's also finding the one you like. Because in everything you're gonna do, there are some things you will be like, oh, they can make money, but I don't want to do this shit at all.
yeah,
And I think for university it's the same. Yeah, you try things and you realize like with your internship and everything, like that's not the life you want, and that's
yeah.
okay. You
No, but
didn't lose time. You just
the
like find your path in a way.
true, because the fact that I did like this super boring internship in finance actually pushed me to think about what I want to do with my life, and actually like push me towards like startups and eventually then like the indie hacking, whatever scene, how you want to call it, bootstrap
Yeah.
startups. So yeah, I'm kind of glad it went the way like how it went.
Agree. I think for me, like when I think about that, many people are criticizing like many things, like pre-made and blah blah blah. And for me, what is the most like things we should change is, you know, many people have hard time to change their mind. You know, they went to a way and it's like, oh no, no, it's too late. I already spent 5 years doing that, so I cannot run back.
Hmm.
And I think this is the main problem in our society is thinking like that. Your life is like fucking long. If you did a mistake, fine. Take responsibility and change. That's
Yeah.
the only thing. So even if you did school you didn't like, or project you didn't like, or company you didn't like, change. Yeah,
Hmm.
always a time to change.
Yeah, and I think like it's 10 times easier to do like to pivot your life than it was maybe let's say 20, 30 years ago. Like if you want to
Yeah.
be if you're a lawyer and then after 10 years you decide to be a website developer, you could just like change. Obviously, you need to take care of your finances and all that kind of stuff, but like there's so much information out there that you can like teach yourself and also like market yourself to the world and get work or freelancing work or build your own projects. Like the how do you say it? The barrier of entry is like
Yes, it's
10
super
times
low.
lower, yeah,
Oh yeah,
to start
it's
something
thousand
else.
of time lower, man. Especially now, I find with ChatGPT, it's so many things
Yeah,
are
yeah.
fucking accessible. Like you can have like opinion of things or knowledge in everything, basically. Just ask ChatGPT. Yeah. And of course, double check your things, but like don't do legal stuff with ChatGPT, for example. Double check. But it's worked very well, and I think like many things now are very easier to do.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. In plus, there's something like many people who listen don't know, but like because like not everyone is European, but in Europe we have such a luck. Like you can, if you want to change from lawyer to become a developer, you can be paid by the state doing that, which is
Hmm.
amazing,
Yeah.
and that's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, on that regard, like everyone on Twitter seems to be shitting on Europe, and like, okay, fine. Like, obviously, like if you look at the economic and the technical progress, yeah, it's definitely like it's 100% lagging. Maybe even like working culture or whatever. But there's also this guy. I don't know what his name is, but he's kind of like giving some like pressure back on everyone who's shitting on Europe, and I'm always like liking this guy because life in Europe, mate,
Yeah,
it's so nice. It's so nice, and we forget that because we're grown up here. But there's no people like dying in this fucking streets on the fentanyl bullshit, and because there's no social security. Like everything, like most of the stuff is like just taken care of in certain sense. And yes, obviously there's hundreds of millions things that could like be better. And yes, especially for entrepreneurs, I think Europe is a lot of
yeah,
bureaucratic bullshit. All of that like is super true, but at least like there's also we take care of our people. Basically, it's not, you don't have to live on the streets whenever you need to do like a heart surgery or whatever. Like you are
yeah.
secured for that shit. And if so, I mean, yeah, no, it's I'm pro Europe. I like
Me too, me too.
yeah, I like the life, and obviously there's hundred stuff that could be improved, but I don't feel like all the shit it's getting.
Yes,
Not all of
I
it
agree.
is
But
on point.
I've changed my mind on that because I'm French, and French people love to complain about everything. So I have been in this mindset for a long
Yeah.
time until I left, and I discovered other part of the world and other people, and things are not like so nice either in some certain place. And now I came to the realization, I think this traveling plus also creating a company, I realized how hard it is to just create a business, pay people properly, pay things properly, make your user happy, not scam your users, like make them feel this is fair and stuff like that. This is so hard. And I have like 130 clients to make them
Mm.
like feel good and feel like everything is working. It's like fucking hard. So I imagine at the size of the country, how you do that? I'm like, nope, cannot do that. So yeah, I have kind of a empathy for like countries and stuff because they honestly, I believe they try their best. Most of people are like, no, they're like bad, politics are bad or whatever. No, I believe they
That's
try
all
their
right.
fucking best, but this is hard on the scale they are
Yeah,
to do
yeah, yeah.
good.
Yeah, no, 100%, mate. And obviously they, yeah, fuck up. And to be honest, like I don't want to go into the politics at least. And we had the elections in the Netherlands, and there's also like, what the fuck is going on here, mate? But still, like if you sometimes look about like the I wouldn't say the perks we get, but like streets are clean, like your trash is getting collected, like roads are good, like electricity is good, internet connection is good, like man, you can just, if obviously you need to make a living, but that's everywhere in the world. But other than that, a lot of stuff is just taken care of quite well. I'm just quite happy being here. And yeah, maybe it's better in other parts of the world. I'm totally fine with that. But yeah, no, I
I
think it's
think,
all right.
we have the princess syndrome. It's like you're born with it. You're born with everything. So you believe this is like you own it. This is yours. So you don't get like how much it was hard to get everything
Mm.
we have. And now, so everyone is like complaining about, oh yeah, this is shit. Yeah, okay. But you didn't know how long it took us to arrive there.
Yeah,
So yeah. Anyway, let's come back to your
yeah. Let's
your
do
path
that.
and your things. But that was funny to talk about
Mm.
that. So you said your first business was the marketplace for internship, right?
Yeah,
And you said you
never
made
do a
one.
marketplace.
Yes, never
Never
do
do that
again.
shit. Never
Yeah,
do that
but
shit.
everyone is thinking about this. I don't know why. Like everyone was like, "Oh, a marketplace for X or that," and yeah, good luck for
Man,
that.
it's so difficult, and especially I wouldn't also do anything ever again in like recruitment. So we were kind of in recruitment, like connecting students with companies. Man, it's just so frustrating because once you think you figured it all out, so once you think, okay, we got one side of the marketplace, we got the
Yeah,
students, we got the companies. All right, that's already like
should be
big.
good.
That
Yeah,
should be good. But then you need to make the connection. Like, and there's so many variables on which you have no influence on where it can go wrong. Because if a company is looking for a marketing intern, for example, And there's also this marketing student looking for a marketing internship, and they really like each other or whatever. Then you're already, oh my God, this is going well. And then, for example, they do an interview, and then, for example, they need then the university decides that the student also needs to do like a
Oh,
project at the
yes.
company, and then the company is like, no, we can't facilitate that, and it's bang, you don't earn anything because the connection is not made, it's not going to start. And you're like, fuck, and you did everything right, but then there's still like variables, like you're not counting in that actually fuck up your
Yeah,
like
the
your
whole
payout,
business.
basically
Yeah.
your whole business. And it's the same, like you give a company like 10 students, like 10 connections, but then the company decides, no, all of them are like not sufficient or not good enough, or for example, the students are good enough and but they choose something else, and you're like, oh my God, what, man, you don't want to be in there.
Yeah, yeah, I
Mm.
bet so. For long I thought like making a marketplace was kind of the hardest things you can do as an entrepreneur, starting a project and stuff like that, because it requires so much
Yeah, but when we
like
started,
so
we
much
thought it
part.
was the easiest because we didn't know how to code. So we're like,
Yeah.
if we can
Oh,
make a website, students, companies, they'll find each other, and then we'll just sit
magic.
back and let the marketplace do its
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, uh,
By the way,
man,
if
that,
no one was coding, well, how did you do that? You did a WordPress or you paid
WordPress.
someone?
Yeah,
Oh,
WordPress. So I'm actually,
so
if you're
you're
gonna
an
ask, like,
engineer.
what? No, I'm 100% not. Uh,
You're a no-code engineer.
Also 100% not. So the other guy, he was
Uh,
kind of a bit more technical, so he did that, and I was like this sales guy. But on that note, like, if you're gonna ask later on in the podcast, like, what's your biggest achievement? I will say something else, but like that we actually got this off the ground as students with like zero knowledge, and then doing like, okay, let's do marketplace, no validation, nothing, just go head first in. That we kept this like up. That was actually
yeah,
like
yeah.
that's up there, man.
When you say like the ARR, I was like, what?
Yeah.
What? I thought at the beginning you say 1,000 euro, and I was like, oh no, it's more than
No, it's
that.
100. Like I think it's now it's probably like 120K ARR. So my co-founder back then, he's still running it, and
Yeah,
he's actually doing it really well. And he's automating a lot of stuff. So like, he's also basically traveling the world. He lives in like 50-50 Berlin, Thailand, and
okay.
yeah, man, he's rocking it.
So I know who you are going to answer when I say who I should interview next.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, could be interesting actually. But yeah.
Okay. And another question related to this project, and after I think we can go on. When you decided to get out of the project, how did you get it out? Do you have you just left it? You find a way to have an agreement?
Yeah, man,
Can you talk about
that's
that?
yeah, I can talk about it, but that's difficult in the sense that this guy was also my best friend. So
Yeah,
like it was also so emotionally quite hard for me to just abandon the
your
project
best
because I
friend.
was
Yeah.
not abandoning the project. I was abandoning like my best friend, and luckily he's still my best friend. But like this took like a while because when I told him like, look, guy, his name is Niels. I said, look, Niels, man, I'm working myself into a burnout. We're doing like 100 sales calls every month, basically, and just doing the repetitive same and the same. Like, I need to do something else. He fully understood it, but he was like, "Fuck me, are you leaving me?" And I was like, "Yeah,
You
kind
broke
of."
up with me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, so that's exactly how it
Yeah.
felt, and I didn't want to break up with him, but I was like, I need to move on. So it took like 6 months, but like in terms of equity wise, like so we had a vesting schedule, and I was 3 years in, so like vested a lot of equity. But at one point, I just said to him like, "What do you need to continue the business? Like, I'll
Hmm.
give it you. Like, if you just tell me, like, what do you need in terms of salary? How much equity, like, do you want? Which would be fair, but tell me what you need, and then I'll try to give like make it work for you to continue the business." So he
You
thought
had like
quite long.
50-50 on the project or
So there was a third co-founder, so it was like everyone had this like the same share.
30? Yeah.
And at one point, but the other co-founder was doing part time. He was not taking a salary. We were taking a salary.
Okay.
Um, But at one point, like I was like, okay, I'm going out. I kind of vested already, like some shares, but not a lot. And I was like, okay, man, just tell me what you need. Like, and he thought like quite long about it. He talked with a lot of people. Like, okay, I want to continue the business because I still see he still saw like the business like going forward, being
Yeah.
profitable. At that moment, we were already like kind of profitable. So yeah, then he basically told me like, okay. I need this and this and this and this. If you can give me that, like we can just like I'm 100% on board with you leaving.
Okay.
And we made that work. I worked for the company still for another like 6 months to just make sure everything like would be like
Yeah.
rock
Well,
solid and so there was this other guy like we hired doing his sales and I was working with him like a lot. So I only just left at the moment that it felt right to leave. So I didn't leave anyone like hanging, and now the business like still continuing.
cool. Cool. That's
Yeah.
something I really like to ask as a question because it's very hard to leave a project and make it still alive. Like when I left my last company, I was a co-founder and I had share. And when I left, it was a bad time for the company. We were like changing the project, changing the business, and so it didn't have a lot of cash inside. So if I was like cashing out at the time, I was killing the company. So I told them like, okay, keep the cash, make it work again, and at the time you feel good about it, you give me the cash because
Yeah.
I really want you to survive and I don't need the cash right now. So we put an agreement on that to give it at the right time
Yeah,
instead of
mate. I
just killing
feel
them.
it's the normal thing to do if you're a decent person. I mean, like so many people, like that's also on Twitter. Like so many people have like this co-founder breakups, and they get like to lawyers and like to court, and like they fight, and that's all this
Yeah,
bullshit. But I can't like maybe the situation that I have obviously not been in, but so disclaimer there. But I always try. I have it three times now, like equity negotiation. So in my first business, Simple Analytics, and then the last business, and at each of them, we came to a point where we are like making sure that the other person got what he wanted. Because if you make sure that you're both like, you cannot get the best deal because that's bullshit. Because if you get the best deal, means the other one
so
doesn't
was I.
get the best deal. So then next week you're talking again because someone got a shit deal. So I remember at Simple Analytics, we worked together for a while. Then we decided, okay, hey, we want to be co-founders. Like, how does that work? Because Alian already started the company. I was joining later. So what's going to be the split? And at one point I suggested something and he suggested something. But at the end, we were like, yo, are you 100% okay with what you got? Because if it's
Yeah,
not, just tell me, and I'm happy to give more. But I also told him, are you okay with giving away like this much?
yeah.
Or because I'm willing to give you a bit back if you're okay with that. So I think you need to be like in that situation if you want to like go forward and continue a business for the long run, because if you're just there like negotiating super hard, there's maybe always going to be someone that just doesn't feel right, and then like at some point it's just going to get frustrating and annoying, and then you're back to square one basically. So yeah,
But
I don't know.
I think there are, for me, the people who end up like going to like court or going like with lawyers and stuff like that, or they think like short term, like they want the money now, and they prefer like fighting than realizing the time they're gonna lost during the fight, doing the fight instead of doing something else. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so they're like just thinking short term about the amount of money and not like on the long term or how much it will cost them, unless it's like billions. I'm not sure this is worth fighting, like going for court for 4 years or 5 years of your life and losing so much energy. And
Yeah, I
also,
know. I don't know. I've not been in those kind of situations, obviously, and it also has to do a bit with your personality. I'm still like I'm kind of a soft guy. I'm
yeah,
from
yeah,
the
me too.
southern part of the Netherlands, so those are like everyone in Amsterdam. Like people in the Netherlands are like everyone thinks like very direct, very like they say everything and they don't talk behind your back. But that's only Amsterdam. I'm from like the south, where we're like very kumbaya and very like tolerant, and that was actually a
You're
switch
like
for me
The Spanish of the Netherlands.
yeah, but that was a switch actually when I moved to Amsterdam. I was like everyone's just like direct. Sometimes I find it a bit rude, and I was like just really like
More chill, yeah.
massaging and just easy. Yeah, maybe it's also not the best trade, but anyway, it works.
Yeah, yeah. But I went, for example, to one thing where, like, basically, I did an agreement with a guy. I was making his MVP, and at the end, like, he paid me like 16K, and then if the MVP succeed and the company raised money, he had to give me 20 more because I
Mm.
did a whole MVP of things. And the guy, so I helped him to do the MVP. Then I helped him a bit, like, because he couldn't find a developer for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, until, like, I told him, like, I don't think I should stay in this company because right now everything you do as an action, I don't agree with it. So we, like, debate all the time. So you lose time. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm right. I don't know. But if we keep working together, we will go nowhere because we're debating all the time.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, bullshit, blah, blah, blah. But he finally agreed with me. Like, I told him, like, this is logical. You're 50 years old. You should understand that. Like, I am making you lose time. Because the guy had a big success before, and he
Mm.
was creating a new project. And so we managed to end up the things, and I thought he was good. And at one point, he stopped to answer. I was asking him, oh, things are going. Are you going good? Are you going to raise or not? To know, like, if I will get the payment. And at one point, stopped to answer. And I put on my LinkedIn, like, I was investor to this project because that's what I consider, I had this
Yeah.
20K still on it. And then he, like, contacted me with a letter of lawyer, like, you're not an investor, you have to remove that, otherwise I will sue you, and blah, blah, blah. And I think, like, oh, what a fucker, I was like, I will fuck him. And I was like, in fact, for 20K, I can do it way better than that. I don't need that. I will lose my time, lose my energy. You want to fight, like, I just put in my mind, like, okay, he's not going to win anything by having this mentality.
No, man.
So this is lost money anyway. So let's remove the thing, say, okay, I removed it, and bye. And I never hear about this guy, and his project didn't succeed, and that's it. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Man, you do so much headspace on stuff like this. Like, yeah, and I also obviously every like equity negotiation or salary negotiation, like it takes time. You have conversations, and you're not agreeing like from the first moment, but like you keep the conversation on. But still, like when these conversations happen, and it may most of the time it spans for like multiple weeks, takes so much headspace for me because I'm constantly thinking about it, and I
yeah,
want like to finish it because I want to be like move forward with the project and with the company, and also want everyone to be happy. So like I couldn't imagine like being in like a courtroom or like fighting with lawyers because then I would die because wouldn't have any headspace left. I would just be thinking about that like all the time.
yeah. Also, I have a huge belief into karma, like, if someone is, like, trying to fuck me, or, like, fuck the paper, like, at one point I will get fucked, and he's happy with that, I'm like, let's see what karma does. But
Yeah,
usually you will probably have a not happy life at the end, doing these kind of things. You do the best you want, but I'm trying to every time, like, feel like, do this action is good for me or not, and go in this direction. I think that simplify a lot of things, like being greedy or trying to fuck everyone. I'm not sure at the end you're gonna win anything.
yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so come back to your story. So after that, you left after 3 years this project, moved to Amsterdam, and then you thought, okay, you want an engineer this time on your project. That's an interesting thought. That's something like a usual pattern I've seen in, like, people wanting to do a business. They say, oh, I need an engineer. But you find something very interesting. You find someone who was already making money and was open to, like, work with you. How did you convince him to work with you? Like, why you and not someone else? Like, how
Yeah,
did
no,
you did that happen?
that's a good question. And I think the problem is with like all this like non-technical founders, they're always looking for like engineers, but they always like most of the time they have an idea. Like the
Hmm.
meme like the startup idea guy.
Yes, yes,
You
you're
don't
right.
want to be
Yeah,
that guy. You don't want to be that guy. Like a lot of like let's call me like a marketeer. A lot of marketeers are like the ID guys. Like if we would take 1% of this market with like the Airbnb for cats, whatever, then
another marketplace.
yeah. But that kind of bullshit. So what I actually wanted was um, like I knew that like engineers are way better thinking about like solving problems than me because I can only think like very superficial. Like I see something which sounds like a great idea, but and then I want to do it, but I did it like I can't go like very deep into like what does it
Technical
actually
stuff, yeah.
solve, like the technical stuff. So whenever an engineer builds something, like a lot of indie hackers start something for themselves because they actually find like a problem and they want to like they're going to build their own solution, and then more people start using the solution. So that's how Adrian started with simple analytics. He was like, yeah, fuck Google Analytics, they're sending all the data, there's no privacy. Man, I can fix this. I can like fix my own problem. I can build like an analytics tool that's just simple, privacy friendly, and then I'm solving my own problem. He launched it on Hacker News, and it happened to be like also other people's problems. So and then people started using it, but that's already like a lot of engineers fix their own problem and not even put it on Hacker News or launch it. So that's also the problem with the engineers. But at some
Yeah.
point, Arian and a lot of indie hackers want to have their own business, like and they want because that's a dream, right? Build your own product and actually get MRR and get a living out of it and travel the world or whatever, or but just like don't have to work for a boss anymore. But if you want to get there to that point, you can't get there with just solving a problem and expect everyone to actually notice and start using your product. There needs to be some kind of like business slash marketing, as maybe sales at some point. Something like that needs to be involved. And you know
Yeah.
the only like very successful solo entrepreneurs like Mark and Danny, man, they're also marketing geniuses. Like that they have the
Yes.
combination. But that's like one of like that's a very rare Pokemon. That's like the one in a million. So the normal like the normal like normal engineer, I would say the normal indie hacker is just really a really good problem solver. Build a project but doesn't launch it or doesn't launch it properly or neglects like the marketing bit. So it's like, okay, where in this process am I like valuable? I'm not valuable in thinking about my own ideas and then like looking for a developer to build stuff for me. I'm more like, I think developers would be way more open to work with me if I solve their problem of doing the marketing side of the business. So that's what happened with Adrian. He fixes his own like problem, build a solution, but then he was neglecting the marketing side. Same with Dries, hosting Unify controllers. I don't even know what a Unify controller is, but he was
Me
fixing that
neither. When
problem.
I saw you were doing that, I was like, what the fuck? What is
Yeah,
this?
yeah. But
Spend an hour learning about it.
he was solving his own problem. He launched it, but never like he just wants to build. So he never did like any of the marketing side, like as SEO, not or just putting it on Reddit or on Twitter or on just like even the don't do things that don't scale. They didn't do it. So
Yeah.
like at one point, I think like okay, if that's gonna be like a valuable spot for me to be in, like let me be the guy that actually is not the main guy, so not the main guy of the product. Like I am not the inventor, I'm not like the engineer, the visionary, but I can help you set up. Like I can help you grow this project from a project to actually a business where you can live from, and we can live from like together. So that's
Yeah.
the role I took, and I have this role with Adrian now with Simple Analytics. That's like the main focus. But I also took this same role in a lesser extent at UniHosted. It was like, yes, you are the visionary, you are the product, you are like, go for it, and I will like support you with all the stuff you don't want to do. And then in return to that, I want some equity and I want a
Of
salary and I
course.
want also like to have the financial gains of it. So yeah, I found that to be like my kind of like sweet spot where I want to be in, and for like it's working. So
That's a very interesting point because like most of startup like 10 years ago I was joining is like the CEO, the guy who has the idea is like having all the equity and then you have the CTO who is taking like 3% of the equity. And now it seems you're more in the reverse model. You have probably less equity than the tech person,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So I would flip it around. Like
Yeah.
the tech person, like the engineer or just Adrian and Dries, it's their like project. I'm not gonna like I don't know like deep enough where how you say it, like in terms of vision, in terms of features, in terms of like the feeling you have for your customers, basically, because it's also like developer tools kinda, and they know this like so well. So I want to push them to the
Hmm.
forefront. I want to push them. They need to be the face. They need to be the vision. They need because they know this so much better than me. But like around this stuff, there's so much stuff that you need to do in order to build like a viable business. Yeah, you need to do like your accounting. You need to make sure you're a registered company. You need to make sure
Yeah,
you're doing marketing. You need to make sure that your product-led growth funnels and your SEO is just working. And I'm telling them like, guys, you can focus on making this the best possible product with the best possible vision for our customers that you can imagine, and I'll take care of the
that's a good deal. Where do we sign?
rest.
No, that in fact that's very cool because like many like technical founders are lacking of the marketing, SEO side, sales even, and this is always the case. Like I think Simple Analytics was like that, but also Plausible was the same. That was made by a tech guy, and then when a marketing guy joined, it was the same thing. I've seen that happening more and more in indie makers,
Yeah, and there's
and
obviously things like you need to be a good fit, you need to like each other and like working
yeah,
with each other, and need to make like good agreements and have your equity sharing and all that. You need to be aligned so well. So like, and sometimes that's difficult. So I can understand that it doesn't work every time, but it just makes a lot of sense for a lot of people to find someone that actually helps them like build the product they want to build. And it's not only like basically saying, "Hey, I'm just doing your marketing." It's also, I am a co-founder. So if they have like their vision, they need to discuss the vision with me, and
yeah,
then I'm like, okay, how many people did you like how many users did you interview for this and shall I do like
zero.
yeah, so you're still like in the you're in it like together, so you
Yeah.
still have this co-founder role and helping each other. You're in it together, so if one is losing like energy, then the other one is like pumped, and you put like you help each other, and so that it also gives like a very like a better dynamic to just building by yourself. And also for, how do you say it, like if Arion Rodriguez tells me like, okay, I'm working on this, and in 3 weeks we're gonna launch this feature. If it's 3 weeks past and there's no feature, I'm like, yo, what's up with the feature? And then
Yeah.
like you have this like accountability system, and it works the other way around. So I know, like I've never done the solopreneur stuff. I think you're like a legend if you do solopreneur, because that's like hard mode. It's like 10 times harder. But I mean, this works really well for us.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Like having co-founder is like very helping, especially the way you're doing it seems very like smarter than I ever did. I think I went solo because I couldn't find a model as you did, which was like very well balanced, and I feel like everyone has a, you know, a role that works and stuff like that. So I've started to go solo for this reason. And now I have an intern, which is a self-elected intern. I did another choice. He told me like, because my project is open source, so I post open source task where I pay anyone who wants
Yeah,
to do it can do it. And this guy was always the first to take it, the best to do it. So at one point he told
perfect.
me, you know what, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be paid monthly. I was like, okay, let's look how we can do that.
Yeah, no,
But
like if that works, that's like that's also how it should go. It's like this organically, like if
yeah,
someone does, and then you meet up with the guy, he says, I want to be paid monthly, and they say, okay, let's try it, and then it works, and then from there, maybe you will become your co-founder eventually. I don't know, maybe I don't know if he's listening, but
I don't
like
think he listened, but I don't know either.
you,
Just the point is like he's super young, he's 17 years
oh
old.
yeah,
But definitely he's very good at what he's doing. He's answering the client, you know, he's like doing the tech part, but it's also doing the support. He's not doing marketing, but he do a lot of things, you know, like it's very, very impressive for this age. I would have loved to be like not a little fucker like I was at this age to like him, definitely. But yeah, I like this organic thing because often like when you do, for example, previously, you know, I was talking to people, I was going to meet up and see like if I can get a co-founder or something. And it's kind of a huge bet. Like
yeah.
you did very great. I don't know how you managed to find someone you really like working with because like it takes time to
I,
know really the person.
so there's two things that I think that really kind of work in my advantage. Like I there's one that is a bit more about like what I previously told, but I don't want to be the main character. You know,
Ah,
I'm
yes.
like and that's where a lot goes wrong, because oftentimes like a CEO is always a
It's the
sales guy,
ego,
right?
yeah.
Like it's the ego, whatever. Like, man, I want
You
the
want to be
engineer
Batman.
to like I want the engineer to be the main character. Like I want to really help someone like build the product day one. So I'm not saying, oh, we need to this is your product, and oh, 10K MRR, super nice. Now we're gonna do this and this and this. No, that's not how it works. I want you to actually exploit like the vision you have, and I'm gonna help you with it. But you're gonna be like the main guy. And when you have this division of roles, that really like that works well. So we're not like butching our heads like every time we need to make a
Yeah.
decision because we everyone wants to be like the main guy. No, so I'm not the main character. So that's one. And I think in the end, what we did at Simple Analytics, and also what I did at UniHosted, is I told Adrian, I'm going to work for you 3 months, like 1-2 days in a
Yeah.
week for free. That's my risk. I'm going to take that risk. And if you don't want to, if you think it's not working out or you don't see the benefit of it, you can cut it anytime. No contract, just cut me off.
Yeah.
Like that's a risk I'm willing to take. But after 3 months, if we're still working together and it's nice and we want to continue, you need to promise me you give me a big slice of the pie. And we can discuss whatever that is, but know
Yeah.
that that's coming, because I want to be an entrepreneur. I'm not going to be like the marketing guy you're just going to pay. So I was upfront with that, and he basically said, all right, let's try it. And then after 3 months, we're like, man, this is super nice. And I was like, okay, then now discuss the
Not a
slice of the
pie.
pie. And but that worked. That worked. And that's worked also with universities. So you get to know each other. You get to like work with each other. You get like, I mean, you get a feel for each other whether this is going to play out for the long term or not. And
Mm.
that was a bet I was willing to make. I've made it twice, and maybe I will take this bet once more, like further in my life. I don't know. And then it doesn't play out. But yeah, like that's the risk taking. I'm willing to take.
That's super cool, man. When you were talking about that, I was like, we should do a marketplace of people like you. Like,
But that's so funny, man. All the like, so I'm now hanging out more with
yeah.
engineers more than with like marketers. But when I was in university, like all of your friends are people kind of like you.
Yeah.
So all of my finance friends, whatever, they would always be like the marketing guy. We didn't know any engineer, so we were like, man, if you get to know an engineer, man, that's
Yeah.
insane. On the other hand, like when you go into like the Twitter bubble or like this little bubble I have in Amsterdam with all the engineers are like, man, where do we find people like you? Because we only know engineers. We don't know any marketeers, and yeah, that's funny. It's just those two groups just don't seem to find each other quite well.
Yeah, yeah. You know, that's such a problem. Like I have, when I was doing the French podcast, I interviewed a guy who was making a cofounder.com, I think. Well, it's a
Mm-hmm.
French platform. But the point is just this. He help like technical founders to find like marketing people, co-founder or salesperson. And they help each other. They even build a process to make that happen. You know, it's not just like putting them together. Is they have a class, they have like online courses, like how they can, what they should validate together and everything. Very, very special. It's super cool. And yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
if it
that's
works, it works. And to be honest, I think there's more you have something in Amsterdam called Antler. They're doing something like that.
okay.
I don't know if like the model sounds all right. So what they do is like they take engineer, marketeer, fund them, and let's explore an idea. I don't know. It seems like something which is worthwhile, because yes, there is a problem that those groups can't find each other properly.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But I mean, as you say, like people don't hang out the same place, like
Mhm.
engineer and marketer. But I'll always love like both population. Like I'm like you, but the other side, like I'm more a technical person, but I like the marketing side and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So I've been with other people as well, and I always had the same feedback, like where we do find engineer like you?
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just go out there. Make sure, because that's what I did. Like I didn't know any engineers, but I knew I wanted an engineer. So I went to indie hacker meetups. I organized my own meetups. I did co-workings with people. I didn't know anyone in Amsterdam. So and that got me into like the connection with Adrian, and afterwards the
Yeah.
connection with Dries. So you need to get yourself out there anyway.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Okay, man, that was very cool to talk about that. I really enjoyed this discussion. Let's see what I can pick up in my notes for the next topic. Oh, yeah, that's something like why, like you went to Twitter for the same reason to find a co-founder, or was more like what attracted you in the indie maker community?
So as like when I did the internship and I got like started into getting interest, like be interested in startups and that kind of stuff. That was mostly
Mm-hmm.
like the TechCrunch VC kind
Yes,
of way. And also when I was in my first company, we were like, oh man, we need to get VC funding because that's the holy grail. I can put it on my LinkedIn. My
of
parents
course.
think like I'm
Tell
a
my parents
big
I'm a
guy.
millionaire.
Basically building a unicorn, whatever. So I think everyone goes through that stage at one point in their life because that's the most out there. That's
Yeah,
TechCrunch, that's startups, that's like
that's the most visible, yeah.
Uber, Airbnb, ChatGPT, whatever. So you go to that space, and then whenever you're actually building your company, and we didn't get to raise VC because the company was not like not VC
On the
good
ball.
enough, whatever. Yeah, whatever. But then what you like do is because you're working on it and you're still reading on the stack range, but you also get open to like more stuff, older people building their company, and then you read a story about someone that built a company without VC, and then you find out about this community, which is indiehackers.com, and then you find out they have a podcast, and then you start reading like those stories. And what did it for me was like the stories on the Indie Hackers podcast. They were like so close by, It was like, yeah, I was just sitting in a room and then I thought about
Yeah,
this app and I was doing
it's
40K
relatable.
MRR. It's so relatable. And at one point, like Airbnb and Uber and that kind of stuff, that's totally not relatable anymore. That's nice when you have no idea because you think that that's how it works, but actually you get in there, that's not relatable. So I just binged all those indie hackers podcasts because I was like, okay, these are like guys that actually did something out of nothing without any VC funding, and they're living their best lives. And that's how I rolled into the community just on Twitter or whatever. You start following Peter Levels, and then you get
Yeah.
like you get on the bootstrap hype train basically. And then I met Adrian. He was already kind of in there, and basically he was very like not saying anti VC, but for simple analytics, he was like, okay, I want to do this bootstrap, I want to do this the indie hacker way because I want to have like a great life and work life balance. And at that point, I was like, man, it's
Yeah.
actually just like baller, like fucking go, let's do it. And he also said, yeah, okay, we're not doing ads because I don't want to support the Google ecosystem while I'm competing against them. So we don't do ads. I was like, okay, yeah, fine, fuck it, let's do it.
Harder, but fine.
Yeah, yeah, way harder.
Yeah.
And we also like a privacy-friendly organization. So my marketing activities are kind of constrained, but it's also like in a good way. We're doing well, and yeah, I like this approach way more than like the boasting and the filling a bag of like air basically
Yeah.
and what a lot of VC funded startups are. And like I mean, there's no right or wrong. Like if you're doing, for example, a complicated hardware startup, yeah, man, you need VC funding, go for it. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. But for like 90% of like the software ideas, just try to build it yourself and just be profitable and not like
Yeah,
whatever.
it's already a good challenge. Okay. I have one thing I would like to know is like, what's your biggest success for you in like by being indie makers? Like,
To be honest, like so I mentioned the getting like
yeah,
the startup of the ground with zero like knowledge before, and I'm still quite proud of it. Also, like it wasn't what I thought it would be, but then still proud of it. But the moment we hit like the 30K MRR mark at Simple Analytics, then I was like, man, like I did it. Like because when I joined Ariane at Simple Analytics, we were like 11K MRR. And I was like, okay, I'm coming in, I'm gonna do your marketing, and now it's gonna like scale. But that I put
game on.
so much like pressure on myself to actually show Adrian that I was worth it, that he actually made a bet on me being his
Yeah,
co-founder. So whenever from the moment I started until we actually reached like the 30K, I was just like putting so much pressure on me to perform and actually show Adrian like man, you made the right move. You made the right move. Like I'm gonna show you, you made the right move. So I was working so hard and actually making sure we got to that point. And when we had like hit the 30, I was like,
Yes.
man, I did it. I
Told
did
you.
it. And then yeah, I told you because then he knew like he basically he made the right move. And obviously
Yeah.
now it's only like we're hopefully gonna hit the 83 at some point, like the 1 million ARR. That's obviously
Yeah.
the goal. But for me, like it was just such a load off my shoulders when we hit the 30. I don't know, maybe just a bit psychological, and yeah, but that was like, fuck yeah, we did it.
Okay. That's cool. What do you think? Like, what was the main action you did that lead you to this?
Man, just start marketing. It was just like literally nothing.
Just doing a beginning of marketing. Okay.
Man, it was a great. It was such a great product. So that's also the thing. Like as a marketeer, you're as like good as your product. You know, if you
Yeah.
shit product, you can still do like SEO. But when somebody buys it because of it and then churns, you're still not growing. So
Yeah.
having a great product was like really like made it easier for me. But then like when I started, I was just doing like picking up like the low hanging fruit. So we started to be like we knew like our like the first customers they all came from Hacker News Reddit. So it's like okay, just get more of those because we know that's already working. So I was constantly on Reddit, Hacker News. We actually created like this news bot there, and then you want me to go in this story?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
At one point, we were like, okay, how can we be on the homepage of Hacker News? Like, it's quite difficult, right?
Yeah.
Because if you just put your company out there, you're gonna get killed because they don't like that. So I was like, how can we still get the exposure but by not put like constantly publishing, hey, we're simple analytics, please use us.
Yeah.
So at one point we were thinking, like our competitor is obviously Google and or Google Analytics, and they have so much shit going on with regulators in Europe.
Yeah.
There's so much news coming out. So what we actually did was Ariane created like a little news website scraper, and whenever like the moment like on regular news, like something hit about Google
Google.
Analytics, basically saying, "Hey, Google Analytics get banned in Italy, for example, or has
Yeah.
issues with privacy in France, whatever." Whenever that would hit, we would get like a notification in Telegram, and what I would do is I would just drop everything and I would write like my own version of this news article, basically getting all the facts like as it was
Yeah.
stated in the version, but also like give my views on it and from like the implications of it. So and then we posted that one on Hacker News, like maybe within 2-3 hours from like the actual
Genius.
news article, and then we didn't do any like talk anything about simple analytics, but just information about what was happening, all the implications. And then at the bottom was like, yeah, if you fucking hate Google Analytics, use simple analytics, privacy friendly analytics, whatever. And then every time we posted that on Hacker News or Reddit, which is bang, top spot, because it was just relevant news. So
Yeah.
it's like consistently hitting like the front page. And I actually wrote a blog about this, how we exactly did it. I posted on Indie Hackers.
We're
I'm
gonna
not
put
gonna
in the link in
refresh
the
it.
description.
And once I put it on Indie Hackers, someone took it from Indie Hackers. The post was called "How to Hack Hacker News." That's kind of clickbaity, but someone took the post from Indie Hacker and put that one on Hacker News. It went top spot, and then we got banned. But
Oops.
at least 100% worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. I didn't knew this story, like that's super cool. Like when I start like doing startups, I start learning about grow hacking, like how you can grow faster than the normal pace by doing this tiny kind of hacks. Where like as you have done, like it was making you valuable for people because if you got like first page, that means people read it and enjoy your article. So it was not like a scam or like a
No,
bad practice. It was something good but very, very smart.
it
Like,
was just front running the news basically, but it was still like with
yeah,
all the content, right? But that was
yeah,
like the stuff we did at the beginning, and then obviously like long term we picked up a lot on SEO because there was nothing, so we just kind of created like alternative pages, all the pages everyone
yeah.
like needs, and I did a lot of that, and yeah, that worked really well.
Yeah, that's kind of axe. It's not like long-term strategy. It helped to grow, but it's not sustainable, definitely, because otherwise you cannot have a normal day of working. You're like watching
No.
the news all the time. It's like, something happened. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened quite often. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like with Europe, it got so easy. Thank you, Europe. You made good business to
For us,
Ireland.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we went to this. There are another things I would like to know. It's more about now. Is like, what's your challenge right now in like simple analytics? Like, what's your biggest challenge? What you trying to do to achieve lately?
So we feel like we hit kind of a plateau now for a couple of months.
Yeah,
So you see like a lot of companies when they get into like the 30 to 50K MRR space, they kind of like flat. Yeah,
yeah,
it happens quite often, and I don't know why. But we were like, okay, so it's maybe because whenever you go build something from and you want to go from 0 to 1, do like to do things that don't scale. You do the hatch, you
yeah,
do Reddit, LinkedIn, blah blah blah. And then when you come to point one, you see like, okay, we have some validation here. We can start focusing long term. So you start working on SEO, you start creating pages, and then you after a few months you start growing, and then you get from 1 to 10 with doing SEO basically. But at some point, like the effect of SEO, like it keeps coming in every month, but it's difficult to go from 1K organic page views to 10 and from 10 to 100 because that's so much like more
yeah,
content and it's not even everything like ranks. So I think if you want to grow like from 1 to 10, SEO can help you a lot, or like whatever works for your business. But at one point, you need to find like another channel that works for you. And so we feel like we are at the point that like SEO is doing still pretty well, but we like need to have another channel if you actually want to like get the hockey stick skill. If you want to go from
mhm,
like the 30K MRR to the 100K MRR, like SEO is not going to get us there. So now we started actually implementing like this more like a product-led growth like strategy.
yeah,
So we have never had a free plan, for example. We're introducing it now, so they actually can use Simple Analytics for free because Google Analytics is free. So we have a lot of
yes,
customers that actually basically say, "Oh, do I need to pay for this? It's super nice, but Google Analytics is free. I'll keep using that." But actually, I want those people to use us because if they start using us and they grow, they might like convert to a
yes,
paid subscription. But not even that. It's actually if we get like a large free user base, we already seeing this now that a lot of people find Simple Analytics because they are referred by other people. So lately, I had like 2, 3 different sales demos, like really big companies. I asked him like, "How did you find out about us?" And they were like, "Yeah, one of our developers uses you for like the side project he's working on, and like we were talking about analytics, and he dropped you guys, so we thought let's book a meeting." I
wow,
was like, man, that's I need those developers to use my product, and I
of
don't
course, yeah,
care if they pay, like pay zero, but as long as you talk about
yeah,
us
be
when
myself.
in your company, like then we're there because then the company gets to know like us and they plan a demo and then hopefully they become like a paying customer. So we were like, okay, how do we get like more developers? Or more just people using our product that really love our product and actually talk about the product in like to their friends or in their companies because we have a product that actually people like to talk about. So that's what we thought. Okay, so what is the biggest barrier of entry? It's the pricing because if you're making like this zero MRR side project, you're not gonna pay 10 euros a month for analytics if you also can get it for free because you're making not any money. So you don't want to lose on like money on building your side projects, which are making like zero MRR. So we were like, okay, if we can make it like a super limited basic version that actually would work for developers or people that are working on zero MRR stuff, like maybe like little blogs or
Yeah,
side projects or whatever, they get to experience using Simple Analytics. They get like they feel how much nicer it is instead of using Google Analytics, and they might tell like their their managers in the company that they actually get the salary from where they're working at, they might drop us. And we've seen this like now happening a few times with like we have 1,300 customers. It's happening more and more if we get more customers. But what if we get like 10,000, 100,000 free users? Man, that flywheel will be going much faster. And people, they will like more people will talk about it. Like just big numbers game. So that's something we're really implementing right now. And I think for the long term, this is for me, that's my hypothesis that this is like a good bet and the way to go. But adding a free plan is also scary, man, because people can downgrade and you know it's like we have a business, we have 33K MRR, we have a business model that works. Like if we're gonna change like big things and making the product free, we like what's gonna happen? Like we don't know, but we feel like hypothetically this is the bet we want to take, but it's still fucking scary to do it.
Yeah, I resonate with you. Like I did even the like reverse move. I removed free plan and I was super scared as well. Like I will lose traction because like many people come to try and at one point upgrade and stuff. Everything you move about the concerning the money is like so scary. Like if I touch everything fall down or not.
Yeah, no, and there's also
Yeah.
like really valid takes on like removing your free plan because that's when you start making money for a lot of India. But we feel that at a certain point in time, like a certain scale for your company, it
I
does
will
make
put it
sense
back
if you have
again,
like
yeah.
if you have a strategy. Like if you're at zero MRR and you're just starting out, don't put it. I'm 100% with you and with the Twitter mob that you don't put a free plan because you need the validation. You need paying customers. You need like input from people that pay and not input from people that just use it for free. So at a certain point, it's a better strategy to take no free plan, but again, at a different point in time or a different scale with a different strategy, it might make sense. And we feel like for us, we're now at the point in time of our company that it makes sense to add a free plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll find out whether that was true or
You
not.
will see. When are you launching it?
It's already online, but still we need to tweak it. And like the proper launch will be in like maybe a couple of weeks. Ariane's going on holiday now, so.
Ah, okay, yeah.
But yeah, people can already sign up for free, but it's not like the on point experience.
Advertise. Yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah. It's not at all. Okay. So yeah, I feel you with this challenge. Like with so many like kind of challenges. Like even now, you know, I've done some programmatic SEO, and I'm super happy about it. It brings like many people to know my product. But now I'm like, okay, I did it like 6 months ago, a bit less. Now I managed to make it work because like I couldn't got index and stuff. And now I'm like, okay, now I can do again new programmatic SEO. I'm like, should I update the previous version or not? Should I? Because now I don't have control on the article. You know, before I was writing myself, so I know when I
Yeah.
update and everything. And now I'm like, if I make it run again, did it will break every of my SEO or? I'm like, more you
Yeah,
go,
man.
more you're afraid to touch anything. It's like
Yeah,
so
100%.
scary. Okay, let's go to my other question. Like, what you will wish someone told you before you started?
Ooh, uh, don't do marketplaces, but no, the wish is
We'll ask Peter
maybe.
to do a t-shirt about that. Don't do marketplace.
Yeah, no, what I wish was actually, uh, I think for me to just someone to tell me to be a bit more like realistic in the beginning. Like, because when you start, you're just very enthusiastic and you think you're gonna
Gonna
build the
make
next Uber.
millions.
Yeah, you don't
Yes.
know anything, and then you keep like you stay for a long time in this kind of like this, you have this vision and this idea, but then it's not working the way you want, but you just stay in there.
Yeah.
And I think I would love to have someone that would say to me, like, Elon, dude, this is not how it works. Like, you're not going to build like the next Uber. It's not really attainable. And you know this because you see the graphs of yeah, 1 in 10
Yeah.
startups makes it, whatever, but it's still like it's very different than when someone would have told me like this is not the right way to do it. And at some point you need to quit doing this.
I think, you know, like I had this question many times to people in the podcast, and it's very often people say that. But when you dig a bit in it, you're like, like someone have told you at one point, or you saw a video or something and you didn't fucking listen. No one has listened. So I think
Yeah,
the only version who could work is probably your future you is coming to the past to tell you, dude, I know,
yeah.
I've been there, I am you, this is them.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's 100% true because probably people have said it to me, but yeah. And I mean, maybe you need to make those mistakes when you start. Like maybe it's just like the way entrepreneurship goes. You need to like you can't go and make millions from right off the bat. Like it's
Yeah.
just especially when you're just graduate from university or just start building or doing your own stuff. Maybe you need to go through that phase. And actually, I'm quite like still, if I look back to that phase, I'm still like thinking happily back to that phase and thinking like, man, I was such an idiot, and then laugh about it. And I think that's also a good thing. Like every year, like maybe like every year, and then you look back on yourself like 1 year previously, and you think like, what a fucking idiot. And then you know like you're good because then you have grown through that year and you know more stuff. And
Yeah.
like if you've been on the same would be on the same level, you're like you think like, oh, I'm exactly the same as last year. You're not really growing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
no, I like being thinking of myself as an idiot last year.
Yes, definitely. Like my partner, she's building her first project right now. She's doing a magazine for digital nomad, which is
Hmm.
I think even more hard than the marketplace because like this is a dying industry. There's so many hard things in it. It's a physical product. It's like so much hard, and that's often the things like I talk with her. I'm like, I don't know if it will work or not. You will see with time, but like do the mistakes as fast as possible because you will learn
Yeah,
and you will see. And something I really like to say is like, sometimes you think about the future and like, oh, what I'm going to do tomorrow and in 1 month about that. And I'm like, let it for your future self because he will be way more smarter than you. It's like, let the problem for future you. You will see future you is better than that. You will
yeah,
even think this is shit, I don't do it or whatever. Sometimes we
no,
overthink
100%.
the thing. Okay, I think we're getting near to the end. I really enjoyed this
Yeah,
talk with
man, it was
you.
fun.
I'm looking at we didn't talk much about the new project. I forgot the name. It's
Uni hosted. Yeah,
UniHosted. Yes.
I won't
Um,
explain exactly what it does because people won't care.
yes. Like very very interesting. But right now, what's the objective with the what do you have as a target working on this project with Dries?
So what we actually want now, so I'm working on it like 1 day in a week, and Dries is working
Mm,
3 days a week. But he wants to make it like his main project. Whenever we get to a certain point, that we can actually like replace the salary. So we're currently at 4K MRR, and we hope to double this by the end of the year because we launched I think almost a year ago, but not
yeah.
like probably September, October, something. So, and then coming to 4K MR, like in a very specific niche market. So I'm actually quite happy with like the progress we're having. And we see that we're getting more and more like traction.
Yeah.
And also like we have some, like we have customers that actually pay us like 500 euro a month, like already, like I
Big
wouldn't say
customer.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, it's like big customers because they, someone like they faith in the product works really well. So like we're getting into the phase that there's kind of some validation. We don't have a lot of. We actually have like zero churn basically because whenever you install it and it works properly and yeah you're still using the same Wi-Fi networks whatever then you don't like you don't want to switch.
Yeah.
So on the product side I think Dries is doing like amazing. And for the growth we actually like doing 4K from 0 to 4K within like 10 months. That was actually also it beat my expectations a bit. So now I'm just very ambitious and say, okay, we got to double it for the end of the year and going to 8K MRR. And Dries is going in full time. And then hopefully we'll come to a point where we can touch the simple analytics MRR where it is now. That would be
Oh yeah.
the ultimate goal. But like I can see it happening, and so there's still a lot of room to do like different stuff with the product. So a lot of our current customers are asking for additional features, and we're now also in the process. Okay, like how we're going to charge for it. Like, would you pay another like 100 a month, and then we build it, you know? But that's just a great spot to be. Uh, so yeah, we're quite happy with, especially with the product now, and that we have zero churn, and that we're like growing steadily, and
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully reach the 8K at the end of the year, so Dries can go in full time. So that would be like the short term objective, and long term, like we have to see. But I don't like. I feel like we can touch simple analytics MRR, like current MRR. That should be
Really? For
doable.
such a thing, a niche thing? Wow, that's so
Yeah,
cool.
I think this the market is there, and
Do you have
we just need
clients
to
like
find.
all over the world or mainly US?
Yeah, no, all over the world. Like we have a client in Trinidad and Tobago, and and one in South Africa, and
What the fuck?
yeah, yeah. But like a lot of people are using the Ubiquity. Like Ubiquity is like the Wi-Fi, like the
Yeah,
internet that like they provide like
the physical
the yeah, the
material.
access points, like the
Yeah,
hardware, and we run on that. So and they are quite big. So everyone that's doing like using Unify, they could potentially be our customer. But it's most like our customers are, these IT service companies. They
yeah.
manage a lot of networks for like big offices and that kind of stuff. And our product actually helps them manage this like more efficiently. That's basically it.
Okay. That's so cool. Like that's something, like when at the beginning you talk about your project with people that never do bootstrapping and stuff like that, they're like, oh, but this is so niche, you will not go so far, This is the dumb thinking. Like I've seen so many niche things that you believe like no one is fucking making money on that, and then you can make very good money. Like my
Mm.
favorite example is a guy I met was selling ants like Queen's ants,
Okay,
and
sick.
it was making 30K a month
Holy shit.
with fucking ants. And I was like, what the
Yeah, man, but
fuck?
that's awesome. That's awesome. Like the fact that that exists, like that, I love that stuff. Like I love
Yeah,
this. That's so much more than someone raising 50 million for an AI startup. Like this is the stuff I really like.
yeah. I think like always like only bootstrapper can serve this customer well because like if you go to raise million for UniHost, for example, like he will not enter as VC and VC will do shit with the project and probably kill it at one point. So a
Mm.
customer will not really enjoy that. And like if you do bootstrap and you make like 30K or 60K a month, it's very good. It's very good. You can live
Yeah,
with
right.
it. You can have a team. People can be like a customer can be very happy and like so I believe we're gonna have more and more like bootstrapping businesses because this is the way to serve best the whole world, like not everything has to be worldwide and there are niche of many things in this world. So
100%.
yeah, bootstrapper for the win. Uh,
Yeah, I'm 100% team bootstrapper, but yeah.
yes, yes. Okay, now we can go to my three finishing question. Thanks a
Sure.
lot for being there with me
Yeah, thanks
and
for having
for
me.
people who have listened. So do you have a favorite quote, something you like to repeat yourself? It's not really something, I
A
don't
what?
look for something famous, a quote,
A
something
quote.
like, yeah.
Ooh, man. Like my dad had a quote. He always told me like, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Like I just remember it from
Ah,
as a kid.
that's cool. That's a cool one.
So yeah, I don't really have a quote, but like that's one that's always just stuck with me because that's your dad saying like as
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
kid, like, come on, man, like when the going gets tough, the tough get going.
And it's like it's funny and plus the way it's said. Okay, that's a very cool one. Okay, what which person I should invite you after you in this podcast?
Yeah, I don't think you know him, but I would invite Mike Windels. It's like, yeah, I'll just show you a link to his Twitter, but he's
Yeah.
a very interesting guy because he has a no code agency. So he's building a lot of projects, like client projects. But now
Okay.
he also next to it launched the Boring Studio, and with like because his
Nice.
agency is doing super well, and now he's partnering up with a lot of like with creators actually, and he's building the products, and the creators like take care of the distribution. That's a super interesting model that he's actually
Yeah.
working on. He launched his first project now, And he currently also he launched another project. So he's basically separating like his agency with he like a regular agency he always had. He's now separating in two entities, just getting the agency for the cash flow, and then from like the extra money that he has in the bank, he's like doing like bets. But he has the engineers and he has the capabilities to build everything, but he doesn't have the distribution. So for the distribution, he partners up with like people, and a super interesting model, super interesting
Yeah,
guy.
that's very
So I
interesting.
would definitely refer him on the pod.
Okay, let's go. I will ask you the name or the link on Twitter after a while. Thanks. And last question is for you. Where do we send the makers who wants to know you more?
Yeah, good one. So like company simpleanalytics.com. There's a free plan now. So if you're a zero MRR to-do list builder,
Yes.
then you
If
can
you do a
already start
marketplace,
using.
you're welcome.
Yeah, 100%. For me, like Twitter, it's like I think it's just Iron Brands. It's my real name actually, so don't be misled. But anyway, so we have this internet friends just once a month. It's actually super nice. Like all the indie hackers from Amsterdam, or probably not all, but we meet up, have beers, pizza, we sponsor it, and it's just fun. So if you happen to be in Amsterdam, join.
So thanks everyone for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, you can send to Iron or to me some DM like you enjoy it, and if you have any question also, this is also very nice to have that. And Iron, thanks a lot for being there.
Yeah, mate. Thanks for having me, and we'd love to get back sometime.
Yes, for sure. If you want to visit Madeira, come anytime you want. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
See ya.